worked with all the other boards.
All right, so it's recording and that all.
Is everybody on?
Yes.
Okay. All rise for the pledge. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We can never make a record, guys. Okay, we did the pledge. I don't have the notation of exits. I'm the only one here. Everyone else is home relaxing, probably had dinner. The first item on the agenda this evening is a public hearing.
You want me to do roll call?
Yeah, I can see it now. Go ahead.
Okay. Councilman Alvarez.
Present.
Councilman Larka.
Here.
Councilman Lord.
Here.
Councilman O'Connor.
Here.
Supervisor Hay.
Here. Okay, we have two public hearings slated for this evening. The first one is a public hearing on Chapter 54, Section 54-13, burning permits. We've had burning permits here in the town of Southeast for quite some time. We found out it actually wasn't in the code book, and we're going to be entering it with this public hearing. And it's
Laney,
we good?
Mute yourself, Michelle, if you need to.
okay.
Okay, so the public hearing this evening is on burning permits. And again, we've had it in the town of Southeast forever. The only thing that wasn't in our code book and what we're doing tonight is going to be entered into the code book after the public hearing. The only major change from any previous call was it used to be from 6 a.m. to dusk. It'll now be from 8 a.m. to dusk. It's still the same as the DEC regulation. Between March 15th and May 15th, you cannot burn. And I'll open it to the public at the moment, and we'll go with the town board first, Eric, and then we'll go to the public. Now, before we leave on this matter, I want to discuss if there's to be a fee, which I think would be a part of it. So let's deal with what we have on the agenda to start. The two issues about the burning permit, March 15th to May 15th, and 8 a.m. to dusk. Those are the only major changes, 8 a.m. to dusk.
Tony, I need a second.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Open the public hearing, and we'll waive the reading of the public hearing notice. Michelle?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone from the public wish to speak on the matter of burning permits? Who's going to identify the people on the phone, how they can raise their hand? Ashley?
So, yeah, so nobody's raised their hand at this
But do
point.
they know how to do it? If someone's on the phone, do they know how to do it?
So if you're just dialed in, you're not in a computer, if you hit, is it *9, Ashley? *9, it'll raise your hand and we can unmute you.
No unmuted?
It doesn't appear that anybody's raised their hand.
Okay, we're still going to talk for a bit so they could raise their hand possibly. Okay, it's been suggested we consider charging a fee for burn permits. We've done it forever at no fee, and since I use it the most, I'm adamantly opposed to burn permits, fees.
Actually, Tony,
Yes.
we haven't done it forever for no fee. As a matter of fact, there had been a fee. I think the fee was $15. And during the time when Ruth Massey was town clerk, I believe the fee was abolished because it apparently, and I'm trying to recreate the timeline, the DEC, I thought had indicated we could not operate the way we had been operating. The reality of it is that if we're going to be producing these permits for people, it takes time and effort by the town clerk and her staff. I believe that, as I said, the fee back in the 1990s was at least $15, and those permits last for a month.
1990 in my book is forever, so I'm corrected. Okay, again, we've been doing it for quite some time. Michelle, is there any purpose in getting a fee other than generate revenues?
No.
So if I'm not in favor of a fee. Again, it's one of the few benefits, and we're not going to have it forever because once we reach a threshold of 20,000 population, it won't happen. So does anyone want to consider putting the fee in?
No, I'm fine with that. And I just want to clarify, because someone did reach out to me, that this excludes fire pits. It's more for
Yes.
burning brush and things of that
Yes.
nature. So, yeah, I agree with Tony.
Anyone want to do that?
No, I'm good
Okay.
with no fees,
Okay,
especially during this year.
okay. Okay, so will the law will be posted as written? There'll be no fee to it? And
Tony,
we'll put on- and if
There
it
is
passes-
one person who raised their hand on the
Okay.
phone.
Go ahead.
And Ashley also raised her hand.
Okay,
Yep,
let
she's
Ashley go
muted,
first
though.
and then Ashley first and then the public, member of the public who will identify themselves when they speak. Go ahead.
I think Ashley was just notifying us there was someone on the phone.
Okay,
So I've unmuted the person who would like to speak.
state your name for the record, please.
Tom Brennan, Allview Avenue, Brewster.
Tom, how you doing?
I'm not bad. You?
Good, thanks.
I just had a question. You don't allow burning between April and May?
That's a DEC regulation, yes.
Between
okay.
March and May.
It's March
Between
15th.
March 15th and May 15th.
Because isn't that usually like the rainy season? It seemed to me that would be, an ideal time to be burning so you don't burn up, a lot of property in case some fire gets out of control.
Yeah, but again, that's a state DEC regulation, not the
Yeah.
town, and I don't see it changing.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else? Okay, see no other comment, I make a motion to close the public hearing. We will leave it open again for 10 days for any written comment on the matter. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, second public hearing this evening. Let me get myself organized here. Is
Ashley, are you
on,
sharing? Oh, sorry, Tony.
good.
I didn't know if Ashley, you were going to share or if I was going to.
No, let me get going and she gets to speak.
Okay.
I'm going to identify what's going on. So item on 2 is the proposed moratorium on chapter 54 and chapter 138, limited permits for outdoor seating, bar, restaurants. So with that, I make a motion to waive the reading of the notification and open the public hearing to town board members and then to the public.
I'll second.
Discussion. Anyone from the town board before we have the public hearing? And then Ashley, what we're going to ask you to do is to identify, actually, you should probably go first so we can ask any questions. I've read it and don't have any at this point in time. It's something that I think everybody wants. It's a temporary fix to a poor problem. And of course, they can always make it a permanent fix. So why don't you identify what we're proposing to do here in the town of Southeast? Now, ladies and gentlemen, after this meeting, if there's no objection to ask to waive the rules, we intend to make this a law this evening if it's possible. So we'll have the public hearing and hope to vote on it this evening, which is kind of unusual. Usually we wait 2 weeks, but as you know, the phases have been moved up and restaurants are opening, I think, next week. So
On Tuesday.
it will come with perfect timing. So Ashley, would you like, Ashley and Will, would you like to explain? Ashley, maybe go first and identify what we're doing here for the restaurants and delis in town of Southeast.
Ashley, you're muted.
Thank you. So currently, the way the code is written, if someone wanted to add a new outdoor dining area to their restaurant or deli, they would be required to seek an amended site plan approval from the planning board, which can be a lengthy process. Since no indoor restaurant seating is permitted and outdoor seating is now going to be allowed as part of phase 2 of the reopening plan, we were looking at ways that we could expedite the allowance of outdoor seating for restaurants and delis within the town of Southeast. And so what this proposal does is it puts a temporary moratorium on the enforcement of provisions of the zoning code requiring site plan approval for outdoor dining areas. And then it creates a temporary outdoor dining permit under Chapter 54 of the code, which would be an administrative permit that would be issued by the building department. So restaurants would have to provide a seating layout. They would have to delineate where the seating is going to be. They'd have to show that they're meeting the requirements of the state for social distancing, and they would be able to open up an outdoor seating area for a temporary amount of time that would be limited to 6 months. Or when the pandemic is lifted, the rules of the pandemic are lifted and indoor seating could resume. If someone wanted to continue this beyond this period of time, they would then have to go through the normal process of seeking an amended site plan approval.
Now, I do want to ask one quick question if I could. I know there might have been a change to it. Do I have the right, did we make the change on the internet? Is there a change to this from what we put on initially, Ashley?
The document that Ashley has put up on the screen is the most current version of this proposal.
Okay.
Yes.
And what's the date on the bottom of the ones you got there, Ashley?
So the one that was posted online I'm not sure we corrected the date on this version.
Did not.
Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do tomorrow, I may already have it, so there's no confusion. Would you please, send that one to me tomorrow?
Yes.
Or tonight? And I'm going to repost the entire agenda tomorrow because we had some additions that came like at the last minute and we actually couldn't get them on, but we're going to provide them on the screen, okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, town board members.
I'm in favor of this. I'd also like to add, can we waive any type of fees, whether they be administratively or permit fees, maybe? Not, I'm really concerned for the restaurants and the business and the community. I don't want to see places shutting down and then 6 months from now we have, just boarded up restaurants and all that. And this is definitely a great way to support our local businesses. I know my family, we've been eating out more since this began than ever before. And I'm glad that we decided that hopefully we can vote on this tonight so that we don't delay the process. So thank you.
Well, to answer the councilman's question, there's nothing in the provision establishing the temporary permit for a fee. The only items of financial issue in there have to do with provision of insurance.
Yes.
Much of which would be would name the town as an additional insured in the event, obviously to hold the town harmless in the event there is an accident or injury resulting from the operation of an outdoor dining facility that we approve.
And just to,
Thank you. I read it and I saw that, but I just wanted to make sure that on the back end somehow, the building department or whatever, that there was.
We have not established in this construct any authority for the issuance of or the application fee. So.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Basically for free.
and as far as an additional insured, I know every time I had to get an additional insured on my policy, there's usually no charge by the insurance companies. If it is, it'd be nominal and that would be picked up by the applicant. And again, there's no additional fee to be charged like you're saying, Edwin. So that's a good thing.
That's great. Thank you. Just wanted to make sure, that's all.
Yep. So any other town board member before we go to the public for their comments?
Yeah, will we have any expenses related to this? Will the building department have to go out and do inspections?
Yes, they will.
prior?
Yes, inspections
Okay.
are required. They again, everything has to be safe, and that's one of the reasons we're getting to get additional insured. Yes, but it's part of the job, and how many restaurants are gonna do it? 10, 15? And we kind of,
So
Yeah.
the town will absorb that expense.
we absorb a lot of the expenses, yes. That's part of his job to go out there and do it, whether he's out there enforcing codes or this here, it's a code and it's part of his job, yes. No extra fee.
And the Putnam County Board of Health, are they going to have expenses that they're going to pass along to us?
Yes, the Department of Health will go out and verify whatever. I don't think the Department of Health charges. And I don't know what their food permit, if, again, what the county does, we can't control, okay? And if they make a charge to something, again, we don't control it. On our end, there's no fee, and based on what I've heard from the county, I don't think there would be any charge on their fee either.
Okay, I just wouldn't want the county to invoice the town for this. And
No, they never,
this
they would
would
never.
add up to what we're doing for no compensation. Okay, thanks.
No. Okay, anyone else? Okay, we'll open up to the public.
So if you called in and you want to speak, again, it's *9. And then your hand will be raised. Oh, we got somebody.
Okay. When a person comes on, state your name for the record, please.
Ashley, can you unmute them?
Oh, hold on a second.
What's that?
Yeah, they're unmuted.
Okay.
Tom Brennan.
Tom, go ahead.
I just want to tell you guys, I really appreciate, you being proactive in this. And it really is appreciated. As far as the Board of Health is concerned, they come out, for instance, to my Burger King. They're out there a minimum of like every 3 months, so they'll be on top of this anyway. And that's part of the fee that I pay to them, roughly about $700 or $800 a year for their inspections. So I don't think that's going to be an issue of them coming back to the town to bill you guys.
They never would do that. They've never been done.
Right.
Tom, are you planning on using this for your restaurant?
Yes. Yes, I'm planning on putting up 5 or 6 tables outside on my sidewalk, keeping them 6 feet apart, and so people can sit out there, especially now it's nice weather out.
Is that where the drive-in window is? No, not the drive-in, the opposite side where the
Not the
speaker is?
drive-in window, the front sidewalk where the double doors are.
Okay. So you shouldn't have any problem as far as pedestrian, you have pedestrian traffic and you don't have to worry about vehicular traffic there most likely.
No, not at all. 'Cause it's on
Okay.
the island. It's on the building island.
Well, good luck with it.
And people appreciate having the seating out there too, especially now. I got to tell you, I'm going to put the stuff. I have my tables up there. I can put them back out once the looting and all that nonsense goes past. Well, I'd like to put them out there on my sidewalk and provide something for my customers.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, that's it.
Very
Thanks,
good.
guys.
You're welcome. Anybody else on comment on this subject matter?
There is another hand raised. Scott, I'm going to unmute you.
My name is Scott Seaman. I also wanted to comment on this with the family in the restaurant business, not necessarily in Southeast, but it's greatly appreciated. It's going to take a long time to reopen them at 25%, and it's going to be tough surviving. But any money that you could bring in is appreciated. We'll probably try it up at our one location. We already have outdoors. We just got to get permission from the health department, and I'm sure dealing with them all the time, it's going to be part of their gig, so there really shouldn't be an issue, and I'm hoping they'll be cooperative. But I just wanted to thank you on behalf of other restaurant and deli people. Thank you.
Any other member of the public on this matter? Anyone? Okay, seeing none, we are going to be definitely closing the public hearing this evening. We are not going to be extending the public hearing because we want to vote on this tonight to get this in place ASAP. So I do make a motion, see no other people wishing to speak, and make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Okay, work session, discussion, commercial shooting ranges. John O'Connor, you want to take the lead on this one? This, by the way, this, ladies and gentlemen, this was in the past. This is just a glossary review of it quickly, and hopefully we can have something ready for our next meeting. John?
Yeah, just to revisit that, the proposal was to, right now there was a blanket restriction on shooting ranges in all types of zoning. So just to remove the restriction on the commercial ones. So
John, I can't hear you well. Can everyone hear him well?
can you hear me?
That's better.
Yeah, so again, to revisit this, this was, to remove the restriction on just the commercial zones, to open up to business of that nature. So, we're looking forward to a public hearing on it and see where that goes.
Okay. Any town board member for comment?
Yeah. Again, I wondered if there is some application coming, or is this in viewing?
No application coming. This has nothing to do with the Pugsley Road project, which they try to, weave into it somehow. It was poor timing. They came onto the table both times, but there's nothing coming forward that we're aware of.
Okay.
I think if I could interject, Councilman, I believe that when there was a comprehensive amendment to our zoning code at some point in time, having to do with recreation, and it was mostly residential recreation, there was a slip of the pen, if you will, that essentially made shooting ranges or that sort of use prohibited throughout the town. And I don't think it was ever the intention to make a blanket prohibition of shooting ranges, but it was the unintended result of some amendments that were made several years ago. And I think with the assistance of our planner and Councilman O'Connor, we've tried to reverse what was done and still have a situation where it would be a special permit use, so that if an application were to come in, not only the planning board would review it, but the town board would be able to review it and impose reasonable restrictions where necessary.
Yeah, I went through it today and made a lot of notes. The section 2, it excluded a lot of things, so that doesn't look like just a slip of the pen, but recreation uses.
I think you misunderstood my statement, John. And that was, sorry. I think you misunderstood my statement.
No, I said I'm sorry. I don't.
And what my statement was they were trying to prohibit or remove from residential recreation uses gun-related uses. So in a recreational zone, you could not have it. But as a result, it also removed it from any other use in any other zone. And this way, with this construct, it more accurately defines what a shooting range is and provides for the special permit restrictions and regulations.
What I was referring to was section 2. What is crossed out now is recreation uses shall exclude automotive or go-kart tracks, shooting ranges, of course, is what we're discussing, amusement parks, and basically, of course, any amusement parks, any use of archery equipment, guns, weaponry, or similar equipment that may be used to simulate combat, including equipment that has the capacity to propel a projectile or emit a light or laser. So I would think that that's like a laser park or a paintball park. So those are also now excluded from the recreation. So I don't think
that was recreation that was permitted in a residential zone. And if you will go back to,
I'm looking at these
I'm not sure what you remember. There was a time not that long ago that there was a proposal coming down the pike to put a paintball operation on North Brewster
Hill.
Brewster Hill Road.
Yeah.
And that was when a lot of these restrictions were cobbled together and meant to impact, because that is residential property. And
I was reading from the definition for recreation, not recreation residential. Anyway,
But the way the zoning code read was that in in residential zones, you could have recreation uses.
okay. I also had a question. Well, the way this reads, exempt ranges are for law enforcement and/or they were exempt, or they did not have to follow a bunch of the requirements for shooting ranges. Because the exempt ranges were for law enforcement and/or governmental purposes. What would governmental purposes be?
Training facilities for law enforcement.
Okay. And who would, okay, that would be an exempt range. The proposal for different limits on the operation, it says from the entrance, 1,000 feet from the entrance of any school, daycare center, church, or hospital, or park. I would want it to be from the property line, not just the entrance. And I'd also like the distance to be a little bit more. I have someone who lives near me who's got his own private shooting range, and it's permitted in the code.
That's, John, that's residential as well, don't forget. That's not commercial, it's
It's
residential.
not a commercial facility. The guy you're allowed to shoot on your own property.
This is a preamble to my telling you why I am concerned about these things. I hear him shooting quite often, and sometimes it's alarming. So that's why I'm a little bit, I'm being cautious.
John, if you wanted to make a change to the residential portion, we would consider that. But right now, what's on the table is commercial, so there's no confusion. Now, if that man brings someone in and accepts payment, that becomes commercial, but I understand he does not do that.
I understand that. I'm just saying that the reason that I'm cautious and I'm bringing these matters up is because I live close to someone who has a range, and sometimes it can be troubling, sometimes it can be disruptive, and I know some of my neighbors are not appreciative. And I think a commercial range was very close to, or was not of a significant distance from residential, or even parks or schools. It could be alarming to people. So that's.
Okay, so do you have a recommended distance that you would recommend?
Yeah. I would recommend a 1/4 mile from any entrance or property line of a school, daycare center.
Make it one or the other, because no entrance is on the property line. I would make it maybe from the property line.
Yeah, no entrance is on the property line?
No. I can't imagine a property line and an entrance. An entrance would not be on the edge of a property line. So if you make a property line, you'd get further distance than the entrance. Don't make it either.
I'd want it from a 1/4 mile from any property line of a school, daycare center, church, hospital, or park.
That could be considered when we go to actually vote on it.
Okay.
And what was the other?
Number 8, firearms used at shooting ranges. The use of it's limited to rifles, shotguns, pistols, and similar firearms. Use of bows and crossbows are also permitted. The use of fully automatic firearms and explosives are permitted for official, police, or military training exercises only.
Yes.
I don't think I'd want explosives. I know that this gentleman that lives near me detonated one at one time, and it was really alarming. Also, what would the definition of military training be? Who would be using the range for military training in our town? Why wouldn't military training be done at a military installation?
Well, if law enforcement from military is helping out the Putnam County Sheriff's Department, New York State Police, we give them the opportunity to do it. So it covers them to do that. Now, let me ask you a quick question though, of Will. Will this require a special permit in the end?
I think maybe Ashley could speak to that. I believe when I read it, it was a special permit use, but I could be wrong.
Okay, so if it is a special permit use, John, those can be written into the special permit, just like we're doing Northwood Tree Care shortly. It's in there and we adjust whatever the length or the distance from the property line can be adjusted at that point in time, but you can make the recommendation, but that's where that would take place.
Okay. On the indoor shooting range, I would want that to have a stricter noise ordinance than is allowed in our code, only because if it's indoors, I think that it could be made more quiet, and I would seek to do that than our normal noise ordinance. That would be a recommendation for me from that.
State-of-the-art indoor ranges are virtually unnoticeable from a sound perspective outside of the building or the enclosure. It's been my experience. John, you might want to.
I would agree with that. It's the technology's come a long way with both the lead abatement, if you'll be asking about that, as well as the noise abatement. So again, technology's come a long way in that respect.
Good. Yeah, I would want that written into the law. Should we go that way? In section or E, number 2, I would want no part of the shooting range located within a quarter mile from a commercial property and a half mile from a residential. That's 2. And 3, I'd want the wording to shooting ranges shall be oriented to take advantage of natural terrain and vegetation and must avoid water courses and wetlands. And it should minimize the effects of glare from the sun and minimize noise impacts and safety risks to adjoining property owners and those traveling on local roads.
John, all I can say is the number of feet that you're recommending are really out there. And I'm not sure you could probably ever put one on any parcel in the town. So I'd have to ask Ashley to do just a quick run of the properties here in the town. And I think the numbers you're explaining that you wish for are a bit overboard.
Too restrictive.
Yeah. But you can look at, you can ask for it and we can look at it and we will review it and vote accordingly.
On the shooting range, number 4, I would want the indoor range to have a locked door, and admittance could only be allowed by an attendant after an ID check. Is that restrictive?
No, but Ashley, can we write that in there?
There were some requirements for that were applicable to both indoor and outdoor ranges, and that was up in section B, supervision.
Right.
And that required, being at least 21 years of age, not having any felony convictions, and that there is at least one range master, firearms instructor, a range safety officer for every 5 shooters.
And an ID check is done, I guess.
Just check.
Well, if it's 21 years of age, that'd be an ID check, would it not?
Yeah, that would be an ID check. And we could specify, but yes.
Question, why 21 years of age? I mean, you can get a hunting permit at 14 years of age.
The range officer needs to be 21 years of age.
Okay. I thought you said the
Sorry.
The shooting has to be 21.
No, the range officer.
Is there any age on the shooter? Is there an age limit?
That's set by state statute anyway.
Yeah, I don't think we had that in here.
Okay. Do you know what it is?
Depending on what type of firearm it is, and if it's, I think it's 14 and up if it's a rifle or a shotgun for people with their parent under supervision. I'd have to look at it, but it's in.
Okay, so our law could have an asterisk in accordance with state DEC regulations.
Yeah, it would be under New York State Penal Law 265.
Penal law, okay.
And number 5, all shooting ranges shall be designed, and it lists at the bottom a minimum design features shall include, but shall not be limited to adequate backstop, adequate side berms, appropriate firing line covers. Is there a higher standard than adequate? Or is that, and who determines what adequate is?
There are organizations out there, I think they're listed in the document. If you go back to that, it talks about the IDPA, the NRA, a few other authorities on that, as well as New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services, et cetera. So there's entities within those organizations that establish what a modern safe range would entail as far as their layout and enhancements. So that's where I guess any commercial entity that was trying to build one of these would have to go to.
And Dan Armstrong on the planning board is big on berms. He'll be right there with that.
Yeah, in fact, what you're looking for, it says adequate backstop, side berms, et cetera. It states there that the recommendations set forth in the most recent edition of the NRA Range Sourcebook published by the National Rifle Association and Best Management Practices for Lead at Outdoor Shooting Ranges, published by the United States Environmental Protection Agency.
Okay, so adequate is the highest standard, or?
Well, adequate is the standard that the federal government's giving them.
Okay.
I don't think there's,
Yeah.
there's minimum.
I would note for the record that the EPA has regulations governing outdoor shooting ranges.
Okay. The shooting ranges, again, I was hoping that we could have noise restrictions that were better than what we have in the town code, only because of the alarming factor. And would it be possible to, well, I was going to ask for start times on Sundays at noon, but that's.
What time do they have?
Okay. And number 9, site plan drawings. Would it be possible to, yeah, that's fine. One other thing, are commercial activities allowed inside the shooting range? Are they allowed to sell ammunition or guns?
If they're licensed by the ATF, yes.
Okay. And is that typical?
The only one that I know of is over in Carmel, and they do have a license to sell guns.
Okay.
The draft does include a prohibition on gambling and alcoholic beverages, but no prohibition on retail sales.
Okay. And what other towns in our county or around here have similar shooting range laws like what has been proposed?
Well, at least town of Carmel must. I know they've got commercial, they only have the one. John, do you know of any other, or Will?
They have Putnam Fish and Game is a full shooting range, trap range, rifle and pistol range, and they even have an archery range.
Are they a commercial entity, or they're a club?
It's a club, but it's you have to be a member, and they're probably pre-existing non-conforming, but they've been in existence for many years.
My last question was, well, I guess one of my last. Attachment 5 doesn't seem to deal at all with shooting ranges. Section 4, it seems to be coming up with new zoning descriptions for the OP3. Was that meant to be included?
Yeah, so I can clarify that. So a few years ago, when we updated the zoning after the adoption of the comprehensive plan had suggested combining OP1 and OP2 into one OP zone, and then OP3 was proposed to be OPMU. And when the code was updated and the zoning table in the back was updated, it was corrected in the actual table part, but in the note section, there was a typo that left the notes as being OPMU instead of OP3. So this is just correcting that typo from a few years ago.
So this has nothing to do with shooting ranges. So
It's nothing to do with shooting
even though
ranges, but it's part of this recommendation is to update that table that's in the code. So it's a good time to do it because we were only asking general code to update that table once.
Okay, so this only pertains to really 3 areas in town. OP3 is Fields Corners. The OP1 and 2 are properties owned by Harold Lepler on 22 and Barrett Hill and all that.
Yeah, it's not a substantive change. It's correcting a typo.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
John, if you want to further put any of those comments into writing to the clerk, and they'll be reviewed when we discuss it.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, I believe that ends the portion of the work session. I will make a motion to go into the regular portion of the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
First item is a resolution special permit ALKA Realty Inc. doing business as Northwood Tree Care, 25 Fields Lane. Now, excuse me. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Southeast hereby makes the following findings of fact in connection with the instant application. Provided the stated special permit conditions are met, the proposed use is in such a excuse me, such a location and in size, a character that will be in harmony with appropriate orderly development in surrounding districts and will not be detrimental to the immediate site or adjacent properties. 2, the location and size of the proposed use, the nature and intensity of the operations involved in are conducted in connection therewith, its site layout, and its relation to access streets being such that both pedestrian and vehicular traffic to and from the use and its assembly of person in connection therewith will not be hazardous. 3, the exterior appearance of the building will not hinder or discourage the development and use of adjacent land and buildings. And 4, the proposed use will not require such additional public facilities or services or create a financial burden upon the town greater than those which characterize use permits as of right. And be further resolved that based upon the foregoing finding, the town of Southeast hereby grants a special permit to allow the subject premises to be development plans prepared and submitted to the planning board in connection with the proposed, project application and incorporated herein by reference on the following conditions. 1, the applicant shall operate the facility in compliance with all conditions set forth in Article 10 of the zoning code. 2, raw wood and so-called first grind wood piles shall not exceed 25 feet in height, and processed mulch shall not exceed 15 feet in height. The wood mill operation, including all processing and storage areas, shall not exceed 5% of the lot area of the subject premises. 4, materials processing and equipment shall be located in the outside storage area designated on drawn sheet SYI, site plan, Phase 1 and Phase 2, prepared by P.W. Scott Engineering and Architecture PC, dated March 4, 2020. 5, noise producing activities, including chipping, grinding, mulching, and the operation of chainsaw, shall occur only between the hours of 9 o'clock a.m. and 3 o'clock p.m. Monday through Saturday. And be further resolved that the town clerk is hereby authorized and directed to forward a certified copy of this resolution to ALKA Realty Inc. and its agent, P.W. Scott Engineering and Architectural PC, to the Secretary of the Southeast Planning Board and the Southeast Building Department forthwith. So moved for discussion.
Second.
Discussion.
Were any Any written comments received in the 10 days that we offered?
None.
None. Okay. I would move to on number 2 to raw wood and so-called first ground wood piles shall not exceed 15 feet in height, and processed mulch piles shall not exceed 15 feet in height, as that was the recommendation of the planning board, and I think that I would like to adhere to their suggestion.
And I believe during our discussion on that matter, I think most of us did agree on 25 feet. And so you're making a motion to change the 25 to 15. Is there a second on that motion? Seeing none, it will be passed as read. Roll call vote.
Councilman Alvarez,
Yes.
Councilman Larka,
Yes.
Councilman Lord,
No?
Councilman O'Connor,
Yes.
Supervisor Hay.
Yes. Okay, motion passes. Number 2, resolution, standard workday and reporting. Now therefore be resolved that the town of Southeast hereby establishes the following as standard work days for elected and appointed officials for 2020, and will report the following days' work to the New York State and local employees retirement system based upon the record of activities maintained and submitted by these officials to the town clerk. So moved. For discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 3, resolution, Drew Realty Lot 1, Fields Lane, Architectural Review Board. Now therefore be resolved that the town board hereby accepts and approves the report of the Architectural Review Board dated May 28, 2020, in connection with the application of Drew Realty, which seeks site plan approval for a nursery use landscape supply to be located on Fields Lane on parts of current tax lot number 78.-2-4 and 78.-2-5, including construction of a 10,500 square foot commercial storage building, outside storage, and associated site improvements. A copy of the ARB review and report is annexed hereto and made part hereof, and that such report shall be incorporated in any final site plan subsequently reviewed and approved by project by the planning board. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Number 4, Restaurant Depot, Route 6, Danbury Road, Brewster, New York, Architectural Review Board. There was a change made to it this evening, so I will ask to waive the rules on that submission. There was a typo, so we changed it, and it had a few extra words added to it. So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll read the resolution as presented this evening. Now therefore be resolved that the town board hereby accepts and approves the report of the Architectural Review Board dated May 28, 2020, in connection with the application of state line development, which seeks amended site plan approval for a large retail use restaurant depot to be located on Danbury Brewster Road, occupying parts of current tax map IDs 68.1-48.1- 68.1-48.2, including the construction of a 57,500 square foot commercial building, associated site improvements and signage. A copy of the ARB report and review and report is annexed hereto and made part hereof, and that such report, including the conditions stated therein, shall be incorporated in any final subsequently reviewed and approved for this project by the planning board. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next is a recognition of public comment. As you know, the public has until 6 o'clock in the evening to make their comment. I did receive.
Well, we're gonna vote on the restaurant.
Yep.
Yeah, aren't we gonna waive the
Sorry. Okay.
rules?
Yep. Time out. Sorry. I'm jumping the gun. I told you, I'm looking at my agenda and we made a change to it. So I apologize. Okay. Now, what we have this evening is, again, as we had earlier this evening, we're going to first put up for a vote is a seeker classification for which one are we doing? Outdoor seating. So I make a motion to waive the rules to accept that document. Actually, let's do it as a package because we're going to do both. So it's the seeker classification and a resolution adopting local law number 5 of 2020 pertaining to restaurants.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that's on the motion to accept it for this evening's meeting. Now we'll read it accordingly. Now therefore, now this is on the secret classification. Now therefore be resolved that the Town of Southeast Town Board pursuant to the State Environmental Review Act, seeker, and 617.5, small c, in brackets 33, finds the proposed action is a type 2 action under seeker and no further environmental review is required. So moved for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
On the approved amendment that came forward this evening as well. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Southeast hereby adopts local law number 5 of 2020 pursuant to municipal home rule, amending chapter 54 and 138 of the Town Code, establishing a temporary moratorium on enforcement of certain provisions of the zoning code relating to site plan approval, and to establish a temporary outdoor dining permit. And be further resolved that the town clerk be and is hereby is authorized and directed to A, enter said local law in the minutes of this meeting in the code book of the Town of Southeast, and B, give due notice of the adoption of said local law by filing such with the Secretary of State of New York with the time required by law. And behind that as well is the actual copy of the local law, which will be posted again on the website tomorrow. So move for discussion.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we're going into the recognition of public comment and recognition of the town board. And again, 2 submissions were made to the town prior to 6 o'clock this evening. The first comes from Scott Seaman, and he states, the district is distributing information about the upcoming vote and ballot procedure. We are trying to reach the voters who may not receive information due to not having children in the school. Dr. Banlow's office will be forwarding this information, under separate cover. And he says, feel free to reach out to Dr. Banlow or the Board of Education for any assistance in this matter. So that was Scott, and he's a member of Southeast, was it Brewster School District? Brewster School District. And the second, we had a letter from the Village of Brewster dated June 4th, 2020. Town of Southeast Council. The Village of Brewster Board of Trustees would like to inform the councils of this board's disapproval and anger about the events that have taken place in the last 2 days. The Village of Brewster Police Department had spent the last 3 days preparing for any outcome that may occur due to the demonstration for the Black Lives Matter movement. To have that plan completely disrupted due to poor decisions of the town council member is appalling. To have a council member make a decision without consulting the Village of Brewster Board of Trustees, or even its own board, as well as the Village of Brewster Police Department, to change the location of where a protest is and possibly endangering the public that the town of Southeast represents, is negligent and disrespectful. This board has done nothing but cooperate with the town on this matter by keeping everyone informed and offering the Village Police Department to keep the protests peaceful. The Village of Brewster Police Department has spent many hours planning and preparing what could have possibly have been this event. Are thankful that the organizers have announced it would be a peaceful vigil and the Brewster Police will still have a presence at the event. The Town of Southeast Council is extremely fortunate that the village is now able to hold this vigil with little notice and minimal time to prepare. This was not a vigil, and if this was not a vigil and the group that is protesting was outraged with the town for not allowing them to protest, this could have been extremely dangerous for the members of this community. The village board would like to remind the Town of Southeast Council that the Putnam County Sheriff's Department has no jurisdiction in the Village of Brewster to do anything except uphold the law. The town council member who told the sheriff's office to notify the organizers that the location of the vigil was changed without consulting the village first should be condemned for his actions. The village board trustees are outraged by the lack of respect for the Town of Southeast Council and like to be heard at town council meeting on June 4th, 2020 during public comment. And I have made their comment part of the record. Now, I want to speak to the audience as well as my board members. There's I hate Facebook. I hate all this social media because I'm telling you right now, there's people out there that are just, oh, I know what you call them, stirring the pot and just trying to make things of nothing. So let me tell you exactly what happened. I received a call. Well, first of all, on Monday, I had to go upstate for something, and I received a phone call from a local businessman and resident. And was I aware of a protest being proposed in the Village of Brewster? First thing I said to myself, it's the Village of Brewster. We have nothing to do with the Village of Brewster. When I got back, that person had forwarded me the following. At the top left, it says, say their names, and it says Brewster Black Lives Matter protest march. And this went on to state, racism in the world in our country is unacceptable. We as human beings have normalized this horrible way of life for too long. Change starts now. Enough is enough. Brewster, whether we want to accept it or not, is an ignorant town. Now, Brewster, it's out southeast, but I don't know if we're ignorant, but they state that. There are ignorant people here who believe that Black people are lesser due to their skin color. This is our chance to educate those people. The world won't change until we do, our families, communities, etc. We must be the change we want to see in the world. On Friday, June 5th, let me make our stand. Let's help our Black brothers and sisters voice their innocence and right to live peacefully. We must let the Black community know that we are with them. We never understand their pain. We'll never understand their pain and fear, but we can acknowledge their suffering. We can use our white privilege for good. We can do better. Now, I received that. I received a phone call and the person sent me an email at 4:50. At approximately 5:42, I received a call from Mayor Schoening. And Mayor Schoening called me and said, he informed me of this here. This was forwarded to me by a private resident, not Mr. Schoening, and I understand this plight. He said to me, is Markel Park locked? As you know, Markel is one of the few town recreational facilities we have. All our recreational facilities have been closed since the governor ordered recreational facilities and parks to be closed, and ours has been closed. When Jim asked me that, I found that to be a very simple answer. And the answer was yes, it was closed. And he said, would you open the lock? When I agreed to open the lock, I didn't check with you. I didn't feel the need to check with you. All I was doing on behalf of the village was opening the lock on that gate to allow people to park vehicles there during the day. Now, when Jim and I spoke, and you can see at the very top, and Jim agrees, it was for a protest march. Now, everyone wants to beat up on the village and the mayor, and now myself. I did wrong maybe, but I make a lot of these decisions on my own. And it was a simple matter. We had another municipality asking the cents for mutual aid. And not only that, we have an agreement with the Village of Brewster, okay? And that is and there's a certificate of insurance. Town of Southeast provided additional insurance status for use of parking spaces when required by written contract or agreement. And I made the agreement. So if you want to blame someone, I'll take full blame. But all I did was I was going to open that gate to allow parking to relieve the pressure of any parking problems that may experience in the village. As you know, Markel Park is down on the other town past the firehouse. We use it for parking. I did not open the park. I opened the parking area, not the park. You can't have both. Now we're going to have a play on words, which I'm not going to get into. I tried to do good. Mayor Schoening at the time was under the same impression that I am, because it started out back then as protest march. Now, these people are not in touch with the mayor. They're not in touch with me. I don't know who they're in touch with. They're out there on Facebook and whatever other media they're going, and they're picking the location. They say, this is what we're doing and what we're doing. They didn't apply for a permit. They didn't do anything. And if you recall, maybe 2 days ago, 84, when Connecticut was closed down, people who didn't apply for a permit, didn't do anything, didn't provide an insurance certificate like the Village of Brewster provides to us, and they closed down 84. So I'll take responsibility. It was an innocent responsibility. I think we owe it to our residents, the residents of the Village of Brewster, to be proactive. And I said yes to unlocking the gate. Now, I did have 2 council members that contacted me and said they had received phone calls from concerned residents about this taking place. And I then contacted the town attorney and he didn't agree with me. So I called the mayor back and said, Mayor, I am not unlocking the gate. If I had it on my own choice, I would have done it. I think it's the right thing to do, but it's me. And not that he's saying that anyone did something wrong as far as that's concerned. I would again take full responsibility. Now, right after that phone conversation with the mayor, he in turn sent me at 5:48 the same day on June 1st, Monday, and he did this to me. He sent it, and it's from New York City Antifa, A-N-T-I-F-A. And of course, they're all over the news. They're out there protesting and doing this and doing that. I mean, every protest starts off as peaceful, but you never know when it's going to turn. There's always someone that wants to upset the apple cart. Just like these people out there on Facebook yapping away. They don't know what they're talking about, okay? So this one says, tonight we begin our festivities in Brewster, New York. Buses will be running from Harlem, 125th and Lenox, to Lincoln Road and Putnam Avenue in Brewster. Now, guys, I hope we all know where Lincoln Avenue, you know where that is? The bottom of Brewster Heights. That hill going up is Lincoln Avenue, and Putnam Avenue runs the back road going down toward Beecher's Funeral Home. Now, I want to tell you right now, if you look on the map, you couldn't even find the damn thing. And then they go on and say, we're come to white hoods, now taking back what is ours. Get ready. That doesn't sound very peaceful to me. Now, white hoods, I'm saying, the only thing I remember as a kid is a white hood is KKK. But that had nothing to do with it. I was so embarrassed when I asked them, what does it mean? Neighborhood, you idiot. Well, I didn't know hoods. I didn't know. Anyway, it just has gotten blown out of proportion. I think there's definitely an issue, and I would strongly suggest any member of our town board to please reach out to the mayor and the board, at least the mayor himself, and sit down with him and explain what has transpired. We're not going to mention names. I just want people go there. Evidently now this is going to work out. They're going to have it take place. And like you said in the letter, hopefully everything will go peacefully. But if any of you have anything of that nature, I just suggest that you reach out to the mayor and discuss it with him personally. Other town board members comment?
I had received 2 text messages, the same ones you actually read. And I had reached out to Mayor Schoening and a couple of other law enforcement people just to make them aware of the situation. But I had no idea of the conversation going on with Markel Park or whatever. Had I known initially, I would have supported your decision to open it. You know, I would have been guilty of not talking to Will, but you know, if you changed it later on. But again, I had no idea this was going on until tonight, right before the meeting when you sent the email out. So, you know, all I can say is that I apologize to the village board, the trustees of the village.
Yeah, I also I attended the village meeting last night. I was going to ask them follow up on a complaint I received, and then also if they issue permits to peddlers or people who do solicitation, because it's seems to be becoming a problem in the town. When I joined, there was discussing this matter, and there was a lot of accusations as they put in their letter. Again, I got some complaints about opening the park. I reached out to Tony. We went through it. He told me that he was opening the parking lot and that he'd been in touch with Mayor Schoening and that the police department was involved and it was going to be a safe and you know, they had a plan for it. So, you know, that calmed my concerns. And I hadn't heard anything else about it until I joined the meeting last night. So, you know, had I known about it or if it was discussed, I probably would have agreed with Tony. I may have made a recommendation to use a different park or to not open the park, but there's parks that are not fenced off. And since they're, you know, no one's going for permits for these types of things, and maybe there was a better location such as the Electro Zone field or something like that. So I share Edwin's sentiments about the communication breakdown here, but it sounds like Tony, what you had told Jim that the gate would be locked, and that was a little bit different than what went on last night. But I can only comment to my involvement and what that was. So those are my comments for now.
And again, my initial reaction was definite yes, without any thought whatsoever. Again, helping the mutual aid, it happens all the time. And by the way, I was never contacted by anyone from the sheriff's department or any other department, just directly with Mayor Schoening. Was a perfect gentleman the entire time with our conversation. I know he's a little upset when I told him we couldn't do it, but again, I had other board members not make comment. They received information and comments from the public. And I did check with the town attorney, and thank you, Will, for setting me straight, because I'm kind-hearted and always try to do what I think is the right thing, sometimes not. In this case, I think it would have been, but it
Tony,
didn't happen.
if I could interject for a second. When you called me, my question to you was, why are the parks closed? And you said, because the governor ordered them to be closed. And I said, if you're going to change the policy, and i.e. open all the parks, then change the policy. And that is where we left it.
The park, in my mind, again, it's made semantics or whatever you want to call it. I was not opening the park. I opened the parking area for the Village of Brewster to allow a march on the village. And when it started out, it was again, they were supposed to start there based on these people who have nothing to do with anything, and they had no idea where it was going to go to. So the village had more information than us, but they didn't have full information either.
Well, in total candor, I read some of the Facebook postings, and I believe it was always intended to take place at Markel Park. And as far as I know, no one ever contacted the town, in any form, manner, email, phone, or otherwise, to request that park be used.
No, they did not, by no means. I mean, the mayor did, because he was up against it, because these people said, we're going to start here in the Village of Brewster, which is our park. And again, it may be semantics. I did not open the park. I opened the gate to allow for the park, just to be on the record. Anyone else on that matter?
I think some of the village board members may be listening in on the meeting. Would you consider hearing a comment from them?
John, is not our normal protocol. Our protocol has been the same through all these Zoom meetings. They had the opportunity to make comment. I think I spoke well on their behalf. Maybe I didn't, but by 6 o'clock in the evening, we've had people, and that's our policy.
Okay, well, just knowing
They did send a letter, and they're all on. I mean, I think just as a courtesy, we should allow them. I mean, it's almost no different than a public comment sometimes, but I mean, if they have something to say, I'd like to hear it.
Nope, I believe they probably would want something to say. Roll call vote on it.
Councilman Alvarez,
I'm in favor.
Councilman Larka,
Yes.
Councilman Lord,
I'm in favor.
Councilman O'Connor,
Yes.
Supervisor Hay.
It was a policy I brought to this town, and you can challenge the ruling of the chair if you choose. Now, what is challenge a ruling of the chair? You can challenge my ruling, I don't get the vote. Then you can make it unanimous. Parliamentary procedure.
Not challenging you, Tony, just
No,
simply,
you
there are times that you got to make exceptions to rules, that's all.
Okay, no. If you want to make, if someone wants to make a challenge to the chair, you can do that. I don't get to vote on that challenge. So do it. I'm not gonna be upset by it. I'd like him to speak, but we have a policy. I'm a stickler for adhering to policy.
What
So
was the last vote?
me,
What was the last vote?
Tony voted no. That was the last vote.
Excuse me.
it has to be unanimous to waive any rule.
Okay,
So, Look it, I said no. John, bring it up. You're not, it's nothing against Tony Hay.
No, I
Now,
challenge the chair.
I'm telling you, you challenge her on the chair. Someone second it. Anybody, you're not gonna hurt my feelings.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote on challenging the chair, which would prohibit me from voting and allowing the Village of Brewster to speak. I'm just going by
This
principle.
is all new to me.
Okay, roll call vote.
Councilman Alvarez,
Yes, then.
Councilman Larka,
Yes.
Councilman Lord,
Yes.
Councilman O'Connor,
Yes.
and Supervisor Hay.
4-0, it's unanimous, done. Okay, let them, whoever wants, let them raise their hand to speak. Oh, I see a thumb. It wasn't a finger either, guys, it's a thumb. Go ahead.
Eric, are you unmuting people or?
Jim Shoney raised his hand.
Someone has to unmute him.
To unmute himself, I think.
He was off for a second. Try it again.
He has to unmute himself.
Guys there?
Okay.
Okay. Just to clarify a little bit what Tony had spoken about, I called him after we found out that this protest was going to start at Markel Park. We had no idea where it was going. So as a courtesy to him, because it's town property, I gave him a call and asked him if he would open up the gates, because that's where the protest was supposed to start. Where it was ending up, we had no idea. And it would have been easier to have people just park in there instead of trampling over the fence or destroying anything like that. So when Tony had said yes, and then we get a call from the sheriff's department that everything changed yesterday after 3 days of us planning on how to take care of this. After that, when we decided to go to Wells Park, or it was pushed on Wells Park, the questions became last night, well, who authorized that this protest that was going to start at Markel Park go up to Wells Park? And that's a question that this village board has, as to who on this board had authorized to take it off where it was supposed to start at Markel Park and then decided to push it up to Wells Park.
This is the first time I'm hearing this, so I don't know if there's an answer to this or not.
Well, it was not myself.
Mayor Schoening, this is Eric. You know, I had no clue this was changing. I had concerns I heard from the public. I listened to talk to Tony about it. I was satisfied with his responses, and that was it.
Well, now it's gone further than this, because now we received information tonight that due to the vigil tomorrow being pushed to and debunked to a smaller event because of the fear tactics by some, now they're marching on Main Street. So thank you. We appreciate this, because now this thing is a total disaster. And if you think you were helping us out, you weren't. And to go around our backs without making a decent phone call to us shows total disrespect for us. Besides that, we leased that park from the town. So my question then becomes, if the town did not lease it to the village, would they have sent it up there anyway? Or was this just to, let's get it out of the town, we're not gonna have a protest on town property, let's send it to the village?
Mayor, I'm confused. I mean, do we know, you claim or say that somebody, I guess, changed the venue on this? I mean, I know it wasn't me. Eric says it wasn't him. Tony says it wasn't him. That leaves the two Johns. I mean, I don't know if this is miscommunication, just hearsay.
No, it's not miscommunication, because I was on the phone with my police chief, who was at the sheriff's department, when we were discussing how this was going on, and then all of a sudden everything changed. So the sheriff's department decided to call the people that were protesting and said, you can't do it in Markel Park, you got to do it up at Wells Park. They have no jurisdiction on that.
Jim, I have just one comment based on what you just said. Initially, as you know, I read that it was supposed to be a march, and now the march is taking place. So what is the difference there?
Well, the difference is because if there was going to be a march and it started at Markel Park and wherever it was going to go, it was easier to control.
Where's it supposed to start now? Do you know?
Wells Park. So now we got people that can go 2-3 different ways in a neighborhood. When before we had it on a main street and it would have just, and we were figuring that they were going to go to the train station. And it would have been up to the train station and it was easy as anything to control.
Okay. I get it.
Emergency service was involved with this. The sheriff's department was involved with this. State police were involved with this. And then your board member decided to change everything after 3 days of us wasting our resources trying to figure this out.
And what board member was that?
You.
Really?
Yeah.
And how do you know this?
Because when my chief was on the phone, he asked me, who's John O'Connor?
Okay. So when I
And
was
then
on the phone with, after I concluded a conversation with Supervisor Hay, who said the park is going to be locked, I said, are you going to inform the sheriff's department of that? And then hearing no answer, I called the undersheriff and let him know that that park was going to be locked. As far as anything else that occurred, that's out of my jurisdiction.
Well, I was told that they were, you had said that the park was going to be open, and then you went back to the sheriff's department and said the next day that the park was going to be closed.
No.
And that's true because I made the comment, and when I had comments from 2 board members and I spoke to Will, I called Jim immediately and I apologized. I said, I'm not going to unlock the gate.
So the question is, why wouldn't you have the decency to call this village and discuss it with us? Who authorized to go up to Wells Park? You don't know. Yeah, of course.
It wasn't me. They asked me about Electrozone Park. I said that belongs to the New York City DEP. They asked me about, is there anything else? I said Garden Street School got sold. That's private property. And Wells Park, I believe, is in the village. Did they reach out to you about that?
No, it was changed. And from what I'm told from the sheriff's department,
Well,
it was
wasn't
changed because
by
of you.
me, and it wasn't changed by anybody on this board.
Okay.
So you're looking in the wrong place, sir.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Okay, gentlemen, please. John, maybe you guys can get together sometime and talk it out, but we're not going to go back and forth. John said what he said, Mayor's saying what he's saying. It's not going to go anywhere. John, Jim, anything else on this? And again, I apologize. And if I had to do it again, I'd do it. I just think it was the right thing to do, but it is what it is.
If I could just add something. You cite a lack of communication from the town to you. I see every member of this board, other than the supervisor to a small degree, also seem to lack communication on this whole thing. Okay, we did not know, you were engaged with the state police, the sheriff's department, MTA police, from what I understand, all these agencies conducting an operation on town property. So where was the communication coming from the village on that, can I ask?
The communication was, as soon as we found out that they wanted to start at Markel Park, I reached right out to Tony.
Tony?
This had all been in the works before we found out where this protest was going to start. Once we found out where this protest was going to start, my first call was to the supervisor. Tony, it's on town property. It's not village. The gates are closed over there if there's any possible way that you can open up these gates so that we don't have any issues with people trampling the fence, because the fence is so small over there, you can walk over it. You can walk through the gate, even though the gate's closed to traffic, you could still walk around it because there's like a 3 or 4 foot opening over there. So
And I said yes to prevent that.
right. So I reached directly out to Tony after I heard where this was supposed to start.
And I had no communication with any law enforcement whatsoever, just the mayor and myself. Nor, I don't know if I should have been. I mean, mayor communicated with me, I communicated with him, no foul, I don't think, but it is what it is. I saw Tom Boston had his hand up possibly. Mayor, do you have anything else to say?
No.
Tom Boston, you had your hand up earlier, do you still want to speak? Okay, I see a thumbs up. What does that mean?
That means you want to.
Yes.
That means yes.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, well, it sounds like you, sir, were in contact with the sheriff.
Who?
I'm talking to Mr. O'Connor.
Oh, okay.
I was briefed at Tuesday during my day shift at the county, okay, on the fact that Markel Park, you know, it was a surprise to me that Markel Park was being used for this event. I was being briefed along with a number of other people on all the events that were going on throughout the county. And then the Commission of Emergency Services turned to me and said, is Markel Park unlocked? I said, I don't know. I said, I actually didn't know it was locked. And I texted.
And you mentioned you mentioned Garden Street School, but not Wells Park.
What's that?
You said earlier, you mentioned that I said Garden Street School is there, but you mentioned Garden Street School, but you didn't mention Wells Park.
No, I said to the undersheriff after I said.
I'm just using your words.
Yes, I said Garden Street had been sold, and I said, I believe Wells Park was a village property.
Right. Folks, the problem our board has with this is we had a park, all right? We obviously didn't want the protest there in Markel Park. We didn't want the protest anywhere in the village or in the town, but we were dealing with a bad situation. But Markel Park is not in a residential area per se, or is not in as much of a residential area as Wells Park is. So now we have a protest in our residential area. Oak Street is there, Prospect Street is there. All of our village is 0.4 square miles. So when you switch it off of a main street, which is where Markel Park is, to a private road, which is where Wells Park is, now you've invited all these protesters to try to come to Wells Park. One of the biggest problems Wells Park has is we have no parking, 0. So now all of these protesters, it could be 10, we don't know social media. It could be 10, it could be 100. Now all those people are gonna need to park. Okay, we can fit 35 cars in Wells Park on a good day with direction. On a bad day, you can get 15, 20 cars in there. The rest of those people are now going to be parking in our residential streets, in your residential streets. Each one of you guys represents the people of the village also. We vote for you. We expect your compassion. We expect forethought. We needed your help. We didn't need you guys, I shouldn't say you guys, we didn't need this pushed, all right, into Wells Park, which is a terrifically bad venue. There is one way in and one way out. The rest of it is completely fenced in. We have a playground there. Our park has been closed for the season since the end of the year. So it's actually been closed longer than Markel Park. A phone call to anybody on the board would have told you, hey guys, we can contain it the best we can. We don't know what we're up against. We've been planning for 3 days. We don't want this. We know that these protests happen whether you want them or not. So we're planning because that's what we're supposed to do. And the mayor called you guys, called the supervisor and started formulating a plan. All right. And now we have a protest that's going to begin in a residential area. And now because the venue has been moved so many times, the protesters are going to march down Main Street. All right, guys, we all need to work together. You know, the town and the village, we spar back and forth, but we all got into this to make this place better. We all took these jobs. We all swore, all right, to make this place better and to keep the people safe. All right. My constituents are the people within 0.4 square miles of me. I am a very small fish in a very small pond, all right? And we vote for you guys. And we want to get along with you guys. We hope to get along with you guys in the future. We need to get along with you guys because when things like this happen, we need good communication. I don't know what happened here, but all I know is we have a protest. I don't know if it's going to go well. I don't know if it's going to be a bad protest. We just don't know. But it's now in our neighborhoods. right? And that's what I wanted to say. It doesn't matter who did what, but we all can act on our own in certain situations. Yes, we can make calls if there's a code violation on our own. We can do all these things, but we have to act as a board or boards. All right, I'm terrifically saddened by the fact that we all couldn't get together and do this well. And that's really all I have to say.
So with that, I will take full responsibility. My job is to be the supervisor. I don't have to tell you how many hours I'm here every day. The past week has been really bad because I'm putting together the plan that's going to be out Monday to go back to the reopening of the town. So I will apologize. I have done this numerous occasions, unbeknownst to you guys, and I don't think I need to call you to tell you. I opened the park at Tenetta Lake Park 2 weeks ago. I unlocked the gate, not for the park, but for the ladies that sell the flowers or whatever. Every year they come to us, they provide a certificate of insurance. I think it was planned prior to the coronavirus, and I let them in the park. We unlocked the gate only for them to set up that. They had practice social distancing, but it wasn't part of the thing early on. I made sure they wore masks. They stayed 6 feet apart. I took that, and I didn't tell you. I mean, I don't know why I would tell you that. And with this here, I mean, to me, it was no big deal. I mean, I thought it was a good decision. The post office 2 years ago, they repaved their parking lot. They contacted me. Can we use Scalpino Park to park our vehicles? I said yes. I didn't tell the board. This just got, look, we're dealing with, but I hate to say crazies. I mean, it's really, I don't know, you got good guys, you got bad guys. We're peaceful. Hey, everybody's peaceful until something goes wrong. So I will take full responsibility for the lack of communication with the board. I would probably do it again the same way because I'm here. I didn't think it was a big deal to unlock a gate and allow, 10, 15, 20 cars. They weren't going to be using the field. And I didn't consider opening the park. I don't. Now, people I heard wanted to bring it down to Lecture Zone Field because it doesn't have a gate. So people would just walk there and we're going to kind of go like this here. I don't believe in that. It's the same damn thing. It's our park. And if they go on it, they shouldn't be there. So I'll take full responsibility for lack of communication. And if you want me to resign, it ain't happening.
Yeah, Tom, I just want to say I appreciate your comments, and I think we should all move forward, the village and the town, with better communication, as I think it'll do all of us good. So I agree.
So Jim, don't call me anymore. Okay. Any other comment on this subject matter? Town board members, any comments? Is there anyone else? I see Jamie's still on. Jamie and Scott, if you want to make comment, it's open to the public. Do you want to make any comment?
Make a comment for Scott that I received my ballot for the school budget today in the mail. I think he read something in there, but it needs to be there by the 6th, I think. That can't be right. I don't know if Scott wants to comment on that.
It's not like a general election where it's postmarked the day of.
5 o'clock on June 9th is when it has to be back to the district office, and the district office is accepting ballots.
Scott raised his hand. I don't know if we can allow him to speak.
Yeah, I mean, look, you opened up to the public, so.
Okay, sorry about that. This technology is still not my strong point. Yes, there was a issue with the ballots on the supply chain, and it got delayed. Actually, my daughter just got hers today as well. Our fear is that we sent out notices saying, please fill it out and mail it back. They have to be postmarked and received by the Brewster Central School District by Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Knowing the mail in Brewster, that's not, it's hit or miss, I would say. There is a lockbox. Yes?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
If there is a lockbox at outside the central office on Farm to Market Road that will be accepting ballots. People can drop them off, of course, with social distance rules. If you see somebody else, wait for them. But there is a box, and it is monitored by the Sheriff's Department. We have cameras, and it's monitored by school people as well. So we ask that whichever people are comfortable with, but they do have to be received by Tuesday. Like I said, by 5. Anything after that by state education law and executive order is not accepted. And we want to make sure that the people have their vote. Dr. Bandel, I believe, forwarded some information. I did send it to the village, and I also sent it up to Patterson that they can inform their voters as well. In case of any questions, there's a frequently asked question comment section. There's all kinds of information available on the link. And we're just trying to get the information out. And I appreciate you giving me this time to put the message out.
I have one question, Scott. Is this normal? I mean, with general elections, you're allowed 1 week with the postmark. Did the state say that you only had that amount of time?
I believe it was part of the executive order. And because, you know, we've never had a only by mail vote. And there's only 4 or 5 companies that produce these ballots with the barcodes and everything. And then you had 700 school districts looking to get this done in like a week or 2. So it was a little bit cumbersome, shall we say. That's a nice way to say it.
And anyone else to speak out there? Jamie, did you fall asleep out there? Okay, any comment from the board? Okay, we are gonna whoop, sorry. Was someone speaking?
I don't
Okay.
think so.
Okay, one order from the governor's office is we will have another Zoom meeting at our next meeting. Today's the 4th, it'll be on the 18th, Michelle, is that the date?
Let me check.
2 weeks from today?
18th
Yes.
is
Is it?
Okay, that will be a Zoom meeting. I've already contacted the videographer, tell them look at until they've lifted the order social distancing. Again, tomorrow, I'm gonna be distributing to the entire town employee chain, which will be yourselves. I'm gonna hand deliver to each department. They're gonna have, and thanks to John, he helped get a lot of the equipment that we needed from Putnam County, and thank you, Putnam County, for supplying it. Infrared, I hate to say gun, thermometer that you put to your head. Now, I know a lot of people are gonna wanna pull the trigger when it comes to mine, but guess what? You're only gonna get my temperature, and I'm gonna be hot. So, we're gonna pass that out tomorrow. You'll all get it by email. I spent quite a bit of time putting it together. I might have said too much, may have said too little, who knows? I have the social distancing by department, how many people will be there, the social distancing rules in this courtroom. Now, I identified every area, every department, the maximum number of people per room, when they have to wear a mask. I probably missed something. John, you'll look it over at the end and say, Tony, you missed this, but whatever it is.
I'm sure.
And the weird thing is we can fit 9 people out in our main lobby at any one time practicing social distancing. Now, if and when, and I did not touch the court. Now, I identified the courtroom or meeting room. It's a meeting room for us, a courtroom for the courts. And the bottom line, in this room here, we can think I counted 27 seats. We have 27 seats. We have 1 for the cameraman. We got 1 for someone to speak from the podium. Up here, 3 people fit across the dais. Will be able to sit there, and 4 of our members will have to sit down below. 4, no wait, not 4, 3, 2 of them. 2 members will sit down below, but there are 4 members when you come to the planning board, because we have to set it up for the planning board if and when we get going. And I did the best job. I put it together. I covered everything, but there's going to be a lot of problems here as far as the number of people that come in. I mean, if we start school tax collection is going to be a nightmare. I'm talking with Susan. What can we do? We might have to put seats outside. So I'll have to ask you guys to pass a resolution to let me do that. I'm only kidding. But, you know, we're going to have to do some strange things here because we just don't have the room, the capacity. Now, we are very fortunate that we can't allow people past certain areas where other bigger towns or smaller towns with big town halls, they got a big problem, okay? We can address everyone. The whole time we were closed and I was here, I was able to wait on everybody just in this little area. But if you have something like in Patterson, they got 2 stories, Carmel's really big, Kent is a good sized place. They have bigger problems. Our problem is the number of people that we can allow in at one time. So I don't know how long this is gonna last. Hope it's not much longer. Based on the traffic out there, it's, we're getting back to normal quicker than I thought. So I'll send out to tomorrow, read it, and that's how we're gonna be practicing and doing business for now until whenever the governor says no more. Anyone else? I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to close tonight's meeting.
For a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ashley, thank you for helping.
All right, good night.
Night all.
Good night.